Sup, YouTubers? Your girl Survivor here. Just a little life vlog here. Does anybody remember a movie that back when, going to the movie theaters was affordable? They actually had movies for $1 back then. You could go. And I mean like $1. They were like, that's how I saw Jaws on Christmas Day night for $1 at the Bing Theater. I remember sitting there, I was with my sisters, of course, because I was little. And I remember sitting there with my scarf, and that scene where, the leg goes floating up or something at the beginning, of course, the music. And then finally after, my sister said, just put your scarf in front of your eyes whenever that music comes on. That's what I did. But I think I would take a peek. And that's where I saw Halloween, the first one, at the X Cinema, which where I grew up, we had everything was right there in walking distance. There was 2 grocery stores, a bowling alley, an ice skating rink, 2 movie theaters, the game room, which was like an arcade, soft serve ice cream, Charmaine School of Dance, Forest Park. I mean, there was so much to do there. And everything was right in walking distance. And that was back in the days when people would go home when the street lights came on. That was like a untold rule. Street lights came on, everybody went home. That was it. And then you go home, you eat your dinner, you watch TV, whatever, it was just so much of a better time. I remember when I saw Halloween, and at that time, though, I was a little older. I think I was about 11 or 12. And about 12, I think. Because we moved off that particular street when I was 13. But I remember the lady from across the street, Ida Daniele, took me and my friend Ronnie Rochella, he was a year younger than me, to see Halloween. And she had told our parents, well, we were supposed to see a different movie. But when we got there, it was, the dollar movies, whatever. It wasn't a $1 movie. It was just that it only cost $1. Halloween was playing. And now you could go see the scary movies as long as you were with an adult. And she was, I think, 21. And this is going to sound mean. We used to call her No Neck Ida, because she had no neck. I mean, I don't know why. She was very nice. But she wasn't a, girl that went out, going out. She wasn't real attractive, But she was real nice. God, I hope she doesn't see this video. Not that I saw. But anyhow, so that's why she didn't mind taking, a 10 and 11-year-old to the movies, But, so we, of course, were like, oh, yeah, we want to see Halloween. So she was like, well, don't tell your moms, So, we're watching Halloween, and it got to that part where after he had, put that sheet over his head with the guy's glasses, and then went in and killed that girl, and then finally Jamie Lee Curtis runs across the street to the house, and everybody's dead, and that girl's laying on the bed with the gravestone over her, and me and Ronnie Rochella, we could not take our eyes off the screen, but we didn't want to look anymore. And she said to both of us, "Do you want to leave?" And I remember neither one of us turned our heads from the screen, but we both nodded yes. And so we make our way out of the row we're sitting. But of course, the aisle, going up to the doors to leave the theater is slanted. We can't take our eyes off the screen. But we also, I don't know about him, but I know we were all like in a row, she's got his hand, I'm in the, at the end, and my knees were so weak with fear, I could barely make it up the aisle, but I couldn't turn my head from the screen. I slept with my mother for 2 weeks. That's how she found out that I went to see the movie. Because I was convinced there was going to be somebody standing in my doorway of my room with a sheet over them with a pair of glasses on. She couldn't figure out why I wanted to keep sleeping with her every night. Finally, I was like, well, there's going to be so... and somebody said, oh, that's a scene from Halloween. She's like, did you... And it came out. The truth came out. And, 2 weeks I slept with her. I was scared to death. That was a great movie, though. And cheaply made. Not cheaply made, but made for cheap. Like, I think it cost like $10,000, $20,000 to make. People did it for a very low pay. I hear that, in fact, how part 1 ends and then part 2 begins is like exactly how it ended, with Donna Pleasance looking out the window and she had shot him, but he was gone, Great movie. That mask was actually Captain Kirk from Star Trek, painted white. Little tidbit there. So anyway, I was thinking about movies that you've gone to see repeatedly. For me, one of them was Grease. I know I saw that movie at least 12 to 15 times at the movie theater. Now if I see it, it just makes me cry. Because, back then, I think I was, 12 or something. 12, 13, something like that. Maybe a little older. But I just had such thoughts for myself, life was going to be this great, In fact, maybe I'd be in musicals, We go together like Rama Lama Lama, ding-a-ding-a-dong. I just loved that movie to pieces. I loved Rizzo. I really did. Oh, I used to be able to say the whole entire movie, word for word, verbatim. Just loved it. And another one for me. This one was when I was older. This was 1987. That I went to see, I probably saw over and over again, was The Lost Boys. I loved The Lost Boys. When they came over, after they did, when they killed those people around the big bonfire, those guys, those idiots, then the Lost Boys ended up killing them. And then they come and they walk over that hill, and they're all just standing there. And there's that guy with the long black hair, one of the vampires. Oh my God, is he breathtaking. Forget Edward Cullen or whatever his name was from Twilight. He looks faggy compared to the Lost Boys. In fact, all the vampires now in the shows they have look faggy. Except maybe a little bit the one from the Vampire Diaries, the brown-haired guy with the blue eyes. I think he's actually married to one of the girls from the Twilight sagas there. But, I mean, ugh, God. Could you imagine the Lost Boys sparkling? No way. What I liked about the Lost Boys, too, was, like, it was funny, too. And I like that lady. Oh, God. What's her name? Is it Catherine something? The one who plays the mother. I like her. She was in, Parenthood, or was that it? Parenthood? The one with Steve Martin. And, who's the one from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure? Keanu Reeves is the boyfriend of her daughter. And then I think it's Joaquin Phoenix is the little boy in it. But he's not little. He's like 12 or 13. But, anyway, when the whole family is over her house for dinner and the lights go out and they're all looking for like a flashlight or candles or anything, going through all the drawers, and somebody comes out and goes, I found one, and the lights go on right then and there, and it's her vibrator, and the little kid goes, what is that? And then somebody goes, it's an electric ear cleaner. That was a good movie. I really liked that movie. I'm not big on Steve Martin, but I think that was one of my favorite movies of his, but I'm not a real big fan of him. There was a few funny parts of The Jerk, but not many. And then anything else he did, I really can't think of any other movie I've liked him in at all, really. Let's see if there was any others that I watched over and over again. There is one that's a scary movie that was, George C. Scott was in it. It was called The Changeling. That was a good one. I liked that one. That was one to own. I'll tell you another one that was one of my favorites was Somewhere in Time with Jane Seymour and Christopher Reeve. Oh, God, I loved that movie. Even the soundtrack, you know, the soundtrack, you know, the orchestra, the mute, it's beautiful, it's haunting. And I loved that movie. Absolutely loved it. Oh, another great movie is True Romance. I know it sounds like that's some, you know, romantic movie, and it in a way it is, because how at the end she's like, all she could think is, he's so cool, he's so cool, he's so cool. Even though it was a shootout, you know? Because he was cool. Christian Slater is Christian Slater. Who doesn't love Christian Slater? It was so funny. My daughter, you know, she saw Heathers, which was another good one. And True Romance, of course. And so, because, you know, I raised her, like, you know, watching all these movies. So, well, it's like one to own, one to own. It was like a little way for us to spend time together. And so, of course, you know, she develops this liking for Christian Slater. And then she sees him on something. I forget what it was. And she's like, that's Christian Slater? You know, like, because he was actually, you know, not how he looked anymore. But when she was younger, you know, she's still thinking he already looked like that. But he was kind of cute. True Romance is a good movie. Great cast. It's Quentin Tarantino. Another good one, Quentin Tarantino, is, oh my God, what is it called? It's the vampire one. It's got Cheech in it. And I think it's Harvey Keitel, Juliette Lewis, George Clooney, who doesn't love him, Salma Hayek. It was a good movie where she does that snake dance in it and everything, you know. That was a good one. George Clooney, he's so funny because I would always watch the. It was like Dawn Dead, Night of the. Oh Jesus, I just can't think of it. They were in like an RV or something. And George Clooney, he's so funny because he was doing like some interview. I always watch all the special features. And he was saying how, he goes, and Juliette Lewis, she would always be knocking on my trailer door saying, hey, George, why don't we rehearse our love scenes? And I'd have to be like, well, Juliette, we don't even have any love scenes. I wonder what he's up to now, huh? There's so many great movies. In fact, lately I've been watching a lot of the free movies on YouTube. And there's one I watched. Like, you know that white thing, they call it the rake? In fact, there's like this, I don't know, video clip of somebody supposedly, like, it's up at their back screen porch, you know? It is kind of creepy looking, though, the whole video itself. But the movie is called The Raking. It's a free YouTube movie. And I thought that was pretty good. And it was good. It was a different little ending going on there. So that was good. And another one I watched was No Tell Motel. That was alright, too. Another free movie. And there was another one in there that I'd watched. Ah, shoot. What was it called? Ah, it was good, too. And now I can't think of it. I'll have to remember it. Because it was a good one. I did try watching Resurrection Mary, but eventually it just got boring. I thought it was going to be more like about how she, you know, got that way. Like, they should have started it off where she was alive first and then showed what happened to her. But instead, it just kind of went on too long of, you know, this guy looking for her. And then she was like, appears in a picture. I don't know. Like, it like fully formed in the picture too, looking like just a regular person. When did ghosts do that? I don't know. Geez, I wish I could remember what the other one was, because it was really good. But I just can't remember what it was. I'll think of it. I also watched The Machinist. That was with Kristen Bale, who I'd never liked. I think it was ever since that movie American Psycho. And I just didn't like the movie itself. I hate those movies where you really don't know what the heck's going on by the time it ends. You know, like, is this real? Did it really happen? Blah, blah, blah. Plus, he has those teeth like a vampire. I don't care for that at all. But he really, I mean, it's an older movie, The Machinist, so he must have really, really went through some weight loss for this movie, because this guy is skinny. And It was alright. I'm not going to tell you about it. It was okay, I guess. I guess I could understand how it got to where it got. That, where I'm not gonna say anything. Whatever, you can watch it if you want. I'm not gonna give it a complete 0 rating. It wasn't that bad, but I can't stand looking at it. And Just Friends. That's so funny, with Ryan Reynolds and Anna Faris, Amy Smart. That's a good movie too. I don't know if any of you have ever seen the movie Alpha Dog with Justin Timberlake. Oh, God. Based on a true story. Absolute great cast. Sharon Stone is awesome in it. She really is. Great cast. Justin Timberlake, he kicks ass in everything he does anyway. A haunting movie. Haunting. Still stays with me to this day. Some movies, they just stick in your head. And that does. And the fact that the kid who played the role of the kid, the main person in the movie, died in real life, too. Ooh, I blew it. But if you know what the movie's about, you'd know that he dies anyway. I just gotta tell you. I don't know, maybe I just blew it for you. But I didn't. It's just a great movie anyway to watch. Some movies, you can know the ending, and it's still just great to watch. But it haunts me, that movie. It really does. Primal Fear is great. If you ever saw that, Richard Gere, Ed Norton, Laura Linney, the guy from Frasier who plays the father, the guy who played the friend in The Godfather. Not The Godfather. Scarface. The one that married his sister or some crap like that. Yeah, he's in it too. Primal Fear is a great movie. Awesome movie. The Curve is a good movie. I don't know if you ever heard of that even. That's a good movie. See, I like the way movies are made too. The thing with The Curve that I liked was the you know how like a scene changes. The way the guy did it was like it was a real smooth change, and he used like subtle things to indicate who was the bad person. Like a bad person would be wearing a lot of red or things like that. I watch all the audio commentaries on DVDs. If there's special features with audio commentaries, I'm watching that shit. Because I really appreciate the way a movie is made and everything. One of my favorite movies of all time is Donnie Darko, Director's Cut. Not only because Jake Gyllenhaal is so damn hot. And he seems so damn nice too. But I just love Donnie Darko. It has to be the director's cut, though. Has to be. Because when they released it, it was not the same. Even the soundtrack is different. So good. I mean, I actually became, like, obsessed with that movie. Trying to, like, figure it out. Like, just such a good movie. I loved Donnie Darko. There's just so many. I watch a lot of actors on that Graham Norton show. And people that you think might be not the way they are, like they're on the Graham Norton show. And that's a funny show. Really, really funny. I mean, if you watch a couple of clips on YouTube of the Graham Norton show, and he's fine. The ones with Joan Rivers, oh my God, these people, they just can't contain themselves. She's so funny on it. She's absolutely funny as it. She's like, you know those people that are like, oh, my grandson's gonna be in a diaper commercial. She's like, oh yeah, as the poop, like she's just so funny, like, and all the people, all the guests, the other guests are just in hysterics. And you know who else is good? And I'm sorry, I don't care what people think, is Tom Cruise. He does all his own stunts. Believe me or not, watch the audio commentaries. He does all his own stunts. They'll have people come in that are like body doubles and they're, experienced in mountain climbing or cliff climbing, whatever the heck that is, rock climbing or whatever. And they're like, after 3 days, like they're there thinking they're going to do the scene. No, they're just showing Tom Cruise how to do it. And the next thing, this fucker's jumping from one little tiny ledge to another little tiny ledge with no wires or anything. And the director is like with his heart in his throat thinking, this is going to be the movie where Tom Cruise dies. And everybody's going to hate me. I'm never going to get hired in Hollywood again. And he does all his own stunts. Ironically, he was in that Collateral with Jamie Foxx, who is now married to, or did they split up? They might have split up by now. I'm not sure. Katie Holmes, whom I like because I love Dawson's Creek. So, just saying. And Jamie Foxx was in Collateral with Tom Cruise. Great movie. Collateral was a good movie. And he was funny because he said when they would do, like, like the car flips or whatever, the car flip. And then after, that scene was filmed, they'd come running over and he'd be like, they'd run right past him and be like, is Tom Cruise okay? Ironically, though, he ends up marrying his wife. I could see how, I guess people, I'm not, that Scientology, I'm convinced that they're murderers, the Church of Scientology. So, yeah, I don't think I would want to be anywhere near somebody who does that. I don't know, is it possible Tom Cruise is like some kind of a cyborg? Who knows? But when he was on Graham Norton, that fucker was dancing, and I'm telling you, I didn't know Tom Cruise could dance like that. I mean, I'm sure we all saw him in, what was that one that he did, just take those old records off the shelf. God, what was that? Do you remember him in Taps? Did anybody see that? Taps? That was a good movie. Oldie but a goodie. Anyway, I'm going to cut this now because I've been going a long time. I could talk forever about movies. I just really love movies. I love actors. I have a genuine respect for actors and directors and writers. All those artistic kind of things really impress me. I hate the movies now with all their stupid computer I hate that. Hate it. It's the worst. I mean, look at The Exorcist. That movie was so long ago, but look at the effects, and it was pea soup. The way they made her head turn, like, are you kidding me? The effects in that movie were great. They didn't look fake. If they did it now, it would probably look fake. And plus, all the actors and the actresses would be just so beautiful and young, and blah, 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 blah. I remember the first Saturday Night Live I ever saw was the one with Richard Pryor, and they were doing a skit of The Exorcist, and she's like, your mother sucks socks in hell. And you know he's trying to jump on the bed and kill her, Richard Pryor. It was good. I miss those days, you know. I'm glad that I'm the age I am now, because I liked the generations that I grew up in. I'd hate to be growing up now. I'd hate to think what is going on now is the norm. I can't imagine if this goes on much longer, this anti-socialism and this whole, internet constantly, even the homeschooling is creating such an anti-social generation. I mean, if you guys' cars broke down and your minutes were out or you had no service, you're fucked because there's no pay phones. There's not even those phones on the highway anymore. Those, like, for help in the box. I can't imagine how horrific the future generation is going to be. They're going to be horrific. Unless their parents or their grandparents are good and really get involved and have them reading books. I bet you there's so many parents that if it was to save their life, they couldn't remember the last book they read, or if it was the last book they read, it would be like maybe 25, 30 years ago. If asked, what was the last book you read to your child? They'd probably be like, guarantee you, the same answer would come to head. Dr. Seuss? That's everybody's go-to. You could tell, too, in yearbooks and shit, when some kid is, like, not that bright. That's always their life quote or whatever. Something to do with Dr. Seuss. It's like the form quote. Here, pick one of these then. I'm sorry, I don't think Dr. Seuss was that great. Even though, he was from around here, and I am going to do a Dr. Seuss tour for you guys when the weather gets warmer. But, and don't forget, I'm going to take you to see MacArthur's Ball. But, yeah, Dr. Seuss, Theodore Geisel, not impressed. Not impressed at all. Redfoot, Blue, or whatever the heck that is. Are you my mother? Are you my mother? Are you my mother? I don't know. Maybe the Grinch was good, but I don't know. I never read Horton Hears a Who. I just don't like Dr. Seuss. Although, I did like the movie The Cat in the Hat with Michael Myers. I thought that was really funny. Those effects I did like. I liked it when, the two little kids, so like Dakota Fanning and the boy, and the Cat in the Hat is like, okay, you have a choice. Either a series of, or I sing a Broadway song, or it's a series of painful shots. And Dakota Fanning is like, how many shots? I don't know, I just liked it. I thought it was funny. I really did. Anyway, peace, love, and tacos, and movies.